Dear guests, dear journalists, Dobrý den, and a very warm welcome to Škoda Auto's 2023 annual press conference. 2022 has been an exceptional year for us at Škoda. Within a highly demanding environment, we accelerated our e-campaign, we introduced an entirely new brand design, we expanded our global footprint, and we presented a wide portfolio of attractive new models representing the best of both worlds, efficient ICEs and great EVs. Two of these models are here today. On my left, you can see the all-electric Vision S7S concept, practically user-friendly and sustainable. It is the first model with our new design language, and it's honoring the traditional Škoda values, roominess, functionality, but it's presenting them in a completely new way. On my right, we have the Fabia Monte Carlo. This very popular version of our entry model is named after the legendary rally, and it stands for a sporty lifestyle since 2011. Now allow me to briefly introduce today's speakers. It's a pleasure to welcome our CEO, Klaus Selmer, who will first summarize the most important highlights and challenges in 2022. I also welcome Christian Schenk, member of the Board of Management for Finance and IT. He will be giving you an in-depth analysis of our financial figures for Škoda Auto Group and for the brand for 2022. Martin Jahn, our board member for Sales and Marketing, will be explaining the development in the different markets and vehicle segments, and he will also give you more insights on our digital products. Klaus Selmer will close the official part of this year's annual press conference with an outlook on the most important events in 2023 and share some important news on Škoda's internationalization course. I would also like to welcome Carsten Schnake, board member for purchasing, Johannes Neft, board member for technical development, and Michael Oehlklaus, board member for production and logistics. Stepan Latzina, head of HR planning, will be representing Maren Gräf today, our board member for people and culture, who unfortunately cannot participate as she is recovering from a sports injury. The board members will be joining us for the Q&A session to answer your questions at the end of the press conference. Dear guests, as usual, you'll be able to submit your questions to the board members. We have prepared two options. You can submit your questions via the Slido window, which you can find on the right side of the APC live stream site. Alternatively, you can use the QR code shown here in the live stream or send them directly to media@skoda-auto.cz. You can submit your questions in Czech, in English, or in German. And now I'll hand over to Škoda Auto's CEO, Klaus Selmer. Thanks a lot. And Klaus, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ariane. Dobrý den also from me, and a warm welcome to Škoda's annual press conference 2023. Just over 8 months ago, I joined this amazing company, an internationally successful OEM and one of the longest established automotive brands worldwide. For both the Škoda team and myself, these last few months have been exciting and challenging. Together, we've achieved a solid result and shaped our future product path in a very tough environment. The terrible war in the Ukraine and the humanitarian catastrophe has impacted all of us personally and economically. It was clear to us at Škoda that we would do all we could to help people both in Ukraine and those seeking refuge in the Czech Republic. In addition to the personal engagement of countless Škodians, our company has provided logistical support, rolled out educational and integrational programs, and made important donations in collaboration with the KOVO, our partner, our social partner and trade union. I am very proud of this clear demonstration of solidarity at Škoda. Thank you to everyone who has helped and continues to do so. Now, obviously, this war also had a significant impact on Škoda's economic situation. And before I share the most important key figures of 2022 with you, I'd like to briefly explain the implications of the war for us. Within the Volkswagen Group, Škoda was responsible for the management and financial governance of the Russian region in 2022. As soon as the war broke out, Volkswagen Group Russia suspended production in the country. Our employees in Kaluga remained employed by us, and their wages were paid throughout the suspension of our business, so for the whole of the past 12 months. As you know, the Volkswagen Group has analyzed various scenarios, we've said that before, for the future of our business options in Russia. The preferred option is to sell the assets of Volkswagen Group Russia and thereby also the Kaluga plant to a third party. And we are in the final stages of finalizing the deal and are expecting to close it rather soon. However, we cannot go into detail before the deal is agreed upon with all parties. And I know you will have a lot of questions regarding this situation, but please understand that I will not be able to say more today. For Škoda, this also means the loss of a sales market. And for this reason, we are pushing our internationalization strategy even further and exploit new growth markets. I will go into this in more detail later, and of course also Martin Jahn, my fellow board member for sales and marketing, will do this as well. Now, this situation regarding Russia and this step have significantly impacted our financial results and of course also disrupted our supply chain. Our Ukrainian partners were forced to reduce their output in their factories, CKD and wiring harnesses, and this led to production stoppages at our sites. In partnership with the Volkswagen Group, we set up a dedicated task force team to handle the situation optimally. Rest assured, we are standing by our Ukrainian partners, and in collaboration with them, we managed to duplicate the missing manufacturing capacity of wiring harnesses in Europe and in North Africa. We're grateful that the CKD production of Škoda cars in the Ukraine, which is managed by our partner Eurocar, resumed last June at the Solomonovo plant. All these challenges, however, the supply chain situation also remains challenging. The shortage of parts, and especially semiconductors, requires great flexibility and planning every day. And thanks to a tremendous team effort, we've successfully tackled these issues as well. For example, we've increased our stock levels of semiconductors wherever possible and implemented many operational and strategic measures to improve the semiconductor supply situation. Also through our strategic Compass project. On an operational level, we have redesigned controllers, for example, with technical alternatives. On a strategic level, we've focused on effective risk management to mitigate semiconductor shortages in good time. In addition, inflation, energy and raw material prices are affecting us at Škoda, as well as our partners, of course, and our customers. We've adopted technical measures to reduce overall gas and energy consumption, such as optimizing the equipment at our metallurgical sites. Now, this leads me to talk about our key financial figures. Despite these challenges, Škoda is resilient and remains on track. Our 2022 key financial figures underline this and reflect the challenging environment. As always, we distinguish between the results of Škoda Auto AS, our brand, and the Škoda Auto Group. The latter includes, among other things, Škoda's responsibility for the Russian region. And the sales figures I'll mention now refer to the Škoda brand, and the financial figures to the Škoda Auto Group. Obviously, Christian Schenk will go into further details on these facts in a few minutes. So in 2022, we delivered more than 731,000 cars to our customers worldwide. In light of the war in the Ukraine, suspension of vehicle production in Russia, supply bottlenecks, and the semiconductor shortage, this was 16.7% less than in the previous year. However, revenue was up 18.5% compared to the previous year. So overall, this is still a very solid result. Martin Jahn will give you an overview of our different markets and performance later on. Consolidating Volkswagen Group Russia presented a particular challenge for the Škoda Auto Group. It negatively impacted our financial figures by almost 700 million euros. And overall, the Škoda Auto Group still achieved an operating profit of 628 million euros in 2022. So, considering the circumstances, this is a robust performance. The effects I just mentioned are also reflected in the return on sales, which remained positive, but dropped from 6.1% to 3%. So 2022 was a demanding year for all of us. I'd like to sincerely thank all our employees at Škoda, our social partner Kovo, for their flexibility and tremendous dedication, which has enabled us to deliver as many vehicles as possible to our customers. I would also like to thank our dealers in all markets worldwide for their commitment and their hard work. Many thanks also to our partners, our suppliers, for their outstanding and flexible teamwork. And of course, a huge thank you to our customers for their patience and their trust in us. Our full order books speak for themselves. So despite all challenges, 2022 was also a year of highlights for us at Škoda and for me personally. The brand and the entire team inspired me from the very first moment here in Mladá Boleslav and around the globe, with their hands-on approach, with their can-do attitude, and with their exceptional flexibility and creativity. Let's have a quick look at Škoda's highlights in 2022. As you just saw, last year at Škoda was packed with great events and even better products. I would like to point out a few of the most important milestones we've passed. And of course, I would also like to take a look at some key figures and crucial milestones of 2022 in more detail. With our new brand identity, we're directly linking our brand's great heritage to the future of mobility. And this step represents the most radical change in our corporate identity in the last 30 years. The new CI is gradually being rolled out across all platforms from this year on, and it will also start appearing on our newly launched models. Our new spacious family concept car here on my left offers a good impression of our new design approach for contemporary explorers. And there's much more in the pipeline, and I'm excited about what's in store. In 2022, we also revealed plans to step up our e-campaign. We'll be launching an additional 3 new all-electric models by 2026 to meet all customer needs in the small, compact, and large segments. And we have plans for even more. We're also investing into a strong future. We'll be spending 5.6 billion euros on further developing e-mobility and 700 million euros on digitalization by 2027. In doing so, we're setting Škoda up for a progressive and a sustainable future. We're also delighted about the positive reception of our first EV family. The Enyaq iV has got off to an excellent start, and the variants are very popular amongst customers. In 2022, we delivered 53,700 Enyaqs, and this is an increase of 20% compared to 2021. A great success, especially against the backdrop of supply chain issues. But we don't just produce EVs. As part of the Volkswagen Group, we also make battery systems for vehicles based on the group's modular electrification toolkit, the so-called MEB platform here in Mladá Boleslav. And this is the only European site outside Germany where battery systems for the MEB vehicles are manufactured. This year, we'll be adding another assembly line, raising the total capacity to 1,500 battery systems a day. Let's talk about the global footprint. From the Czech Republic over to India, one of our top 3 markets worldwide and a linchpin of our internationalization strategy. Škoda's recent development in the country has been a great success story. We've been leading the VW's activities in the market since 2019. And last year, we outperformed the market, gaining market shares and reaching all-time highs. In total, we delivered 51,900 cars to our customers there. That's up almost 128% compared to the previous year. So India has become one of our most important markets, driven by the success of our locally developed and built Kushaq and Slavia models that cater to the needs of customers in India and beyond. But who could better highlight the importance of and our performance in the market than Piyush Arora himself, Managing Director and CEO of Škoda Auto Volkswagen India.
India is fast becoming a force to reckon with within the automotive world. As you know, Škoda Auto took responsibility within the group for Region India in 2018. 2022 has been an exceptional year for us in India. Setting off a strong growth momentum, we crossed the 100,000 sales milestone in the domestic market with an exponential growth of 86% in retail volume over 2021. Škoda reflected a strong performance and grew by more than 125%. In fact, last year, we saw double-digit sales growth for all other group brands in India as well. The group is marching on its way to seeing sustained growth towards achieving a 5% market share by 2025. EV transformation is taking place in India faster than earlier foreseen. Analysts suggest that by 2030, about 15 to 25% of the country will be battery powered. But at the same time, the ICE market will continue to be strong. We believe that our growth path in India will have to include both ICE and BEV models. Our highly localized India 2.0 cars are extremely popular, driven by our group DNA of comfort, sporty handling, and safety. Just a few months ago, the Škoda Kushaq earned a full 5-star safety rating in the latest global NCAP crash test, making it the safest car in India. But our cars are not just creating a positive impact in the country, but also opening up export opportunities. Beside exporting FBUs, we will begin exports of parts of our India-made models, Škoda Kushaq and Slavia, which will be assembled in Vietnam for the Vietnamese market by the end of 2024. This will be a landmark moment for Škoda in the region. Last year was a year of accomplishment and growth. We are convinced that we have been moving in the right direction, which continues to open new horizons for the group in India. Thank you, and back to you, Klaus.
Well, thank you, Piyush, for your insights into this crucial market. And you briefly mentioned another important market for us, Vietnam. Dear guests, let me give you a short overview of this additional internationalization milestone of 2022. And there's even more to come, but I'll return to that later. So our global footprint, and in that respect, Vietnam, last year, we announced our entry into the Vietnamese market. Its geographical proximity to India provides great synergy effects that we're going to leverage. Vietnam is the 4th largest automotive market in Southeast Asia with a huge growth potential. We expect the total annual market volume to increase to around 1 million vehicles after 2030. And that's why we'll be offering our European models as of this year in Vietnam. In 2024, we're launching the CKD production of our Kushaq and Slavia models there in close collaboration with our local partner, Thang Quang Motor Vietnam. And our all-electric Enyaq IV family will also be available in Vietnam after 2025. So this will be an important gateway for us to strengthen our presence in Southeast Asia. For all markets in Europe, Asia, and beyond, our customers are key to us. That's why we are continuously strengthening our customer centricity, improving software, and reducing our environmental footprint. Let's talk about sustainability. Now, Škoda has always been green with its signature colors and deep-rooted passion for sustainability. This is an integral part of our corporate DNA. And that's also why we're merging our sustainability and financial reports from 2024 onwards. And of course, we're also supporting this approach with a clear strategy and specific projects at Škoda, for example, through green production and green products. In our production, our overarching goal is to operate with net zero carbon emissions by the end of the decade, because e-mobility needs green energy, not only in the batteries of our EVs, but also at our production sites. And we're on track. Our Czech plant in Wroclaw achieved CO2 neutrality back in 2020. Our other 2 plants in the Czech Republic and our Indian plant will follow suit by the end of the decade. Even today, the share of renewable energies at our Czech sites already increased to around 35% in 2022. And at our plant in Pune, in India, we recently commissioned one of the country's largest rooftop solar power systems in the automotive industry. With an output of 26.6 million kilowatt hours per year, we're generating up to 30% of the plant's total energy consumption in-house. We use resources carefully across our value chain, across our production. And the Škoda Group reduced its environmental impact per car on average by over 43% compared to 2010, from energy and water consumption, CO2 emissions, and waste production to VOC emissions. And we'll continue to hone our eco-friendliness in the future. By 2030, we aim to have reduced our fleet emissions by more than 50% compared to 2020. Now, you might ask yourself, how will we do that? By drawing on the best of both worlds, ICEs and EVs, throughout our transformation phase. We're consistently optimizing our modern and efficient ICE models. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we'll be introducing 3 new all-electric vehicles by 2026. And by 2030, we're aiming for a share of all electric models in Europe of over 70%. Dear guests, with our next level Škoda Strategy 2030, we set ourselves clear targets already in 2021 towards sustainable growth, exploring new sales regions and electrification. In 2022, Škoda made great progress in implementing this strategy despite the difficult market environment. Our sales revenue rose to 21 billion euros. We're successfully strengthening our position in India and Southeast Asia. And there are 3 exciting new EVs on the way before 2026. I'm convinced that our brand will attract even more people over the coming years, thanks to our powerful new design language, as well as strong and efficient products. By continuing this path, we'll provide our customers with genuine added value, surprising, simply clever features, and simple, intuitive operation. And now, I'd like to hand over to our CFO, Christian Schenk, who will present our detailed financial figures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Klaus. Dear ladies and gentlemen, good morning, dobre den, dobre rano, and welcome. I'll be presenting our financial statements and key figures for 2022, as well as an outlook on the current year. I'm sure many people would agree with me that 2022 was a dramatic year. The impacts can be felt across the majority of industries, including the automotive sector, as well as us at Škoda. The continued supply chain turbulences carried over from the previous year, rapid inflation, and the outbreak of the war in Ukraine put tremendous pressure on our business. We'll be focusing on today is how Škoda managed this year financially. Let's first have a look at the development of Škoda Auto Group's revenues. Despite all the challenges, the Škoda Auto Group managed to increase its revenues over 2021 by 19% to 21 billion euros. While sales volumes have once again been under pressure due to ongoing supply bottlenecks, our revenues have shown improvements thanks to several initiatives. Firstly, improvements in our product mix. Our sales mix improved as we delivered more high-revenue vehicles. Our 2 new all-electric vehicles, the Enyaq iV and the Enyaq iV Coupé, make great contributions to this. Secondly, our revenues in India improved significantly due to success of our India 2.0 strategy. Introducing the Škoda Kushaq and Škoda Slavia led to a staggering 128% increase in deliveries to customers compared to 2021. In collaboration with our colleagues in India, we've shown that developing vehicles to meet regional requirements was the right strategy. Thirdly, as part of taking further responsibility within the Volkswagen Group, we were able to increase sales of vehicles for other group brands, particularly in India, where more Volkswagen vehicles were produced by Škoda. Now, let's take a look how revenues developed in each quarter of 2022. Overall, our net revenues in 2022 outperformed 2021, especially in the second half of the year. In the first 2 quarters of 2022, revenues were similar to 2021 at around 5 billion euros. In the third quarter of 2022, net revenues improved by 58% over 2021. Note that in Q3 2021, production shutdowns due to semiconductor shortages started to hit us hard. In 2022, we were able to stabilize production despite still not being at full capacity. In Q4, we finished the year strong, increasing net revenues by 32% over 2021 to 5.8 billion euros, the highest of all quarters. Aside from the effects I mentioned earlier, we also launched the assembly of MEB batteries for the group, which contribute to the increase. Moving on to profit. we faced several challenges in our operating environment. Thanks to effective countermeasures, we managed to achieve a positive operating profit amounting to 628 million euros compared to 1,083 million euros in 2021. This was attained despite the financial burden of extraordinary effects regarding the situation in Russia of almost 700 million euros. The return on sales without these extraordinary effects slightly exceeded last year's 6.1%, but dropped to 3%, including these effects. Besides Russia, there were further adverse effects on our business. The after effects of the COVID pandemic and the outbreak of war in Ukraine led to the rampant inflation of raw material costs, mainly with steel and battery components. Prices for semiconductor components increased due to the ongoing parts shortage. As I mentioned earlier, this also decreased our production output for the second year in a row. Due to supply chain bottlenecks and inflationary trends, we also faced higher logistics and supply chain costs. In addition, we were also impacted by the negative net effect of foreign exchange. We compensated all these adverse effects by better product mix, which I mentioned previously under revenues. Our continued efforts improving fixed cost also contributed positively to our operating profits. Further efficiency initiatives have been launched within the framework of the Next Level Efficiency Plus program, which I come back to later. In these difficult times, we steered the business successfully. All in all, we achieved a solid profit level. For this, I sincerely thank all our stakeholders for the tremendously hard work throughout the year and our customers for their continued trust and support for our products and services. Let's take a closer look how the total operating profit developed by quarter. Firstly, we can see that the operating profits in quarters 1 and 2 were stable at around 340 million euros or 6.6% return on sales, lower than 2021. This was due to the overall increase in material costs and the consequences of a semiconductor shortage in 2022. We didn't experience any semiconductor issues in the first half of 2021, which allowed us to run at that time at full speed. The results of Q3 started to be impacted by the extraordinary effects related to Russia. Therefore, return on sales dropped to 3.6% in 2022. Last year, we suffered from Q3 onwards from long-lasting production shutdowns due to parts supply issues. The consequent losses had been turned into profits this year, and our supply management improved alongside our cost initiatives. Unfortunately, Q4 brought losses of 228 million euros, once again due to the extraordinary effects relating to Russia. This had a negative impact on the ROS from 4.1% in 2021 to -3.9% in 2022. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I will now summarize the Škoda Auto Group's 2022 financial results. As we've already discussed the development of sales revenues, operating profit, and return on sales, I now cover our earnings after tax and net cash flow. Earnings after tax decreased by 461 million euros to 450 million euros compared to 2021, similar to the development of the operating profit. Our positive net cash flow of 489 million euros decreased by only 65 million euros compared to 2021. Despite the high drop in operating profits and higher investments, we were able to generate almost the same amount of cash as last year. This shows that the Škoda Auto Group is robust and remains financially on track despite all the global challenges. Let's take a look at our investments and research and development activities in more detail. Our strategy to transform the company towards e-mobility and digitalization means we are making huge investments in our future. We invested a total of 1.2 billion euros, 5.5% of turnover, which is 375 million euros more than in 2021, an increase of 48%. Out of the total 1.2 billion euros, a large share flowed into transformation activities at our plants, including optimizing production lines for electric vehicle production and battery assembly, as well as digitalization. In addition, we invested in the brand's future by consolidating our brand rights, which we've revolutionized and rolled out with a new corporate identity and logo. The total R&D expenditure of 852 million euros increased by 3% compared to last year. Besides the ongoing modernization of our fleet, our R&D activities focus on developing an all-new generation of BEV vehicles featuring our modern solid design language. Klaus Zellmer will be providing more details on product events in a moment. We now take one last look at 2022 from the perspective of Škoda Auto AS, the Czech company without our subsidiaries. The figures are covered in more detail in our annual report online, prepared in accordance with IFRS standards. Operating profits decreased by a third to 17.6 billion Czech crowns in 2022. The reasons for the decrease were similar to my statements about the Škoda Auto Group and includes the previously mentioned extraordinary effects regarding Russia. Dear ladies and gentlemen, 2022 has indeed been a challenging year that impacted our operations and financial figures. We have consistently been working on effective countermeasures to mitigate these effects. Looking at 2023, our operating environment is again going to be challenging. Uncertainties regarding supply still remain, even though we expect the situation to further ease during the year. In addition, inflation rises, driven especially by raw material and energy prices, and will require strict cost discipline on our side. Meanwhile, consumer inflation uncertainties are also on the agenda, which is expected to lower the purchasing power on the public and put further pressure on the industry. But let me assure you that we are prepared. Besides our attractive model range, we are running operations efficiently and providing added value to our customers through our Next Level Efficiency Plus program. I'll give more details on this program in just a moment. We will continue to monitor and adjust our product mix. In order to diversify our revenue streams, we are entering new markets such as Vietnam and continuing our growth plan in India. The Next Level Efficiency Plus program is the answer to improving our efficiency in the short term as well as delivering long-term profitability. I introduced this program at this event last year. It aims to deliver profitability targets of over 8% from 2025 onwards. This program is running successfully at full speed. Let me walk you through each working package in more detail. Under the Maximizing Revenue Potential working package, we took a comprehensive approach to improving the future product and regional mix to ensure that we can offer our customers favorite models while remaining competitive in the market. This year, we will continue with those measures and additionally target distribution costs and enhance the profitability of our new digital services, such as location-based offers and the upcoming Super App. Under the Revolutionizing Material Cost working package, we did a lot of benchmarking last year. The goal was to identify areas where we could increase value for the customer while keeping costs under control. This year, we are going to intensify these efforts and step up the implementation of smart and sustainable materials to add additional customer value and promote our environmental initiatives. Under the Optimizing Production Costs working package, we identified measures to improve production overheads in 2022. In 2023, we aim to implement further improvements through concepts like design for manufacturing and assembly, enabling us to harmonize our engineering and production processes. Finally, under the Optimizing Fixed Costs working package, we rolled out measures to improve overhead costs in 2022. In 2023, we are going to generate further measures to ensure the optimization of our investment. Dear ladies and gentlemen, with our comprehensive new brand design and logo, we are demonstrating our ability to change based on our rich heritage. Building on solid financial foundations, we will continue to transform Škoda and work towards a sustainable future. Throughout this process, people and products serving our customers will be in our focus. I now hand over to my colleague Martin Jahn, board member for Sales and Marketing, who will go into more detail about our sales and market developments.
Thank you, Christian. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you to this annual press conference, and I will now continue in Czech. My colleagues have already mentioned the challenging conditions that we find ourselves in, so I will not go into detail. I would just like to thank all our employees, partners and dealers for their hard work during the past year, and I would also like to thank our customers for their patience. Let me now start with the traditional new car sales figures. Despite the ongoing challenging situation, Škoda Auto delivered 731,300 vehicles to its customers worldwide. In absolute terms, this is certainly a decline compared to the previous years, but we have managed to maintain some important positions and achieve many good results. For example, in Western Europe, in Germany, Škoda is the #1 importer for 14 years in a row, which is a great success. In Austria, Škoda is #2 on the market with an almost 9% market share. A very high market share of 2.8% is ours in Spain, and we also achieved the highest ever market share in France and Italy, almost 2%. We are very pleased about that, and we hope that we will continue to grow in South Eastern Europe. In Central Europe, we are #1 in the Czech Republic, #1 in Slovakia, and #2 in Poland. And there have been some other historic records achieved. In India, for example, we delivered 51,900 vehicles to our customers, and in New Zealand, 2,200 vehicles. I would like to discuss the Indian market in more detail, given our responsibility for this region within the VW Group. I'm very pleased that we were able to more than double our sales result in India last year. The 128% increase represents almost 52,000 vehicles delivered and a 9th position on the market overall. The sales performance is based on a solid foundation in the form of the already successfully established Kushaq and the all-new Slavia, which we launched in March last year. These two models alone achieved sales of almost 50,000 vehicles, and in addition, the Slavia immediately took the 2nd place in the busy A0 notchback segment. Now let's take a look at the sales performance of each vehicle. Škoda's modern model portfolio has attracted sustained customer attention. The Octavia remains the best seller with more than 140,000 cars delivered to customers. And this was not a result on which we could have bet in advance. At the very beginning of the year, a fire completely destroyed the plant of a major supplier, which had a direct impact on the availability of parts and production of this model. With almost 50% of the total number of cars delivered to customers, SUV models are more popular than ever in the Škoda portfolio. The most successful SUV model was the Kamiq, of which we delivered a total of 96,300 vehicles, followed by the Kodiaq, 94,500 vehicles, and Karoq, 87,700 vehicles. In 2022, the all-electric Enyaq iV family was expanded with the all-new Enyaq Coupe iV. With more than 53,700 vehicles, we delivered 20% more of these cars to customers compared to the previous year. And what is important for us is that this is an absolutely crucial circumstance for meeting our CO2 emission commitments last year, especially in the EU, the United Kingdom and Switzerland. The Enyaq model family, which comprises our first pure electric car, has been warmly received by customers and the media. The Enyaq iV is the best-selling electric car in the Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, the Czech Republic, and also in Slovakia. The popularity of the Enyaq family is also confirmed by journalists. It has also been awarded a number of important awards, such as the Golden Steering Wheel in Germany and the Car of the Year in Finland. and that clearly confirms this fact. We firmly believe that the other electric vehicles, which we are working on today, will be just as successful. As we have already stated in our Next Level Škoda Strategy 2030, one of the important areas for further development is the search for new markets, and we are therefore delighted to have been able to conclude a cooperation agreement with a strong local partner in Vietnam, Bangkok Motors, in October 2022, and we will be able to enter this market this year. With a population of more than 100 million, we are convinced that this is a market that represents another important milestone in our internationalization strategy. We will launch the first Škoda models, the Karoq and Kodiaq, in Vietnam in the second quarter of this year. First deliveries to customers are currently scheduled for July 2023. And with the production of CKD cars from 2024 and the launch of additional Octavia and Superb models imported from Europe, we will soon become a relevant player in this market. The current estimate of the initial sales potential is 30,000 cars per year. But in general, however, we believe that sales of up to 40,000 vehicles per year are possible, and hopefully even more in the future. And later on, Klaus Selmer will return to the topic of expansion and potential. For us, as a brand that wants to be close to its customers and users, it is the clients who determine the corporate strategy. If we are to set the future direction of the Škoda brand correctly, we need to get to know them as well as possible. They are changing, just like the world around them. Tradition is an important value for them, but they also have a strong desire to explore. From our global research, we found that this customer group is characterized by a specific mindset rather than demographics, and the fact that they are truly global. These customers are present in every market, even though there are slight differences, but they share some common characteristics: a desire to explore, to learn new things, and to shape their lives as they see fit. Also, a personal focus on caring for their loved ones and their immediate environment. And last but not least, an awareness that climate change is beginning to have a visible impact on their daily lives and their families. And, first of all, it is a desire to travel, explore, and be creative. The results of these studies have served as the basis for shaping our new brand strategy, which is based on the intention to be a bold companion to our customers as they explore the world. And the contribution of our business makes to helping people live smarter. We will provide our customers with the tools they need in the form of products with the new modern solid design that allow them to explore the world in a sustainable way, in style, safely, and with a sense of security. We share their interest in all things new and their desire to discover and improve the world. There is scientific evidence for this. The more we discover, the smarter we can live. Now let's move on to another and even more important area of our business: digitization. As I mentioned at the beginning, we also place a strong emphasis on digital products. In 2022, we made significant progress in this area, and we also set some new records. So I'm very proud to report that almost 100% of our customers with electric vehicles have activated connectivity services. This is extremely important to us, and it is a prerequisite for us to be able to offer more intelligent products to our customers in the future. What shows a steadily growing customer loyalty in the digital world is the 20% increase in renewed user accounts for connectivity services. By subsequently expanding and connecting the digital and ecosystem for our customers, we were able to increase customer interest in sales and after-sales or service by 22%. This is a significant increase, and it demonstrates that customers are increasingly embracing the online environment. The mobile phone is a major part of our daily lives, and therefore we are committed to keeping our customers connected to us. through it. Advancing mobile services is therefore an important part of our digital strategy. We would like to develop a unique experience for all customers so that they have access to relevant information at every step of their interaction with us, the Škoda brand. And therefore, in 2023, we will introduce 3 new features: Discover News, Waiting Period, and Loyalty Program. The Discover News will provide customers with important product and brand information, which we will deliver in line with the human touch principles. The Waiting Period feature will offer the user support while waiting for a car during the delivery period, which is very useful given the current difficulties in supply chains. And to achieve the best possible customer experience, everything will be rounded off with the integration of our loyalty program into the My Škoda app. Ladies and gentlemen, as you already know, and as Klaus Zellmer has already mentioned, in August 2022 we unveiled our new logo and the text lettering combined with fresh and modern new colors, which I believe fit perfectly with the whole brand. In addition to core features such as authenticity, modern style or youthfulness, it was also very important for us to respect the brand's rich historical heritage when creating the new identity. The characteristic hook in the Škoda name, which has always been part of the logo, has now been integrated into the letter S, and so the text logo takes on a more compact and coherent form while still referring back to its origins in terms of language. The Škoda color palette uses 2 main shades of green, electric and emerald green, which capture the brand's character and create a unique and unmistakable look. So in short, Škoda is a brand with green blood in its veins. A new brand identity, a new look and new feel, all honoring the digital-first approach and reflecting our core brand values. It is human, it is simplifying and surprising. The feedback we recorded after the first month is 99% positive, and this is true both internally from our employees and externally from our dealers, the media and customers. Škoda has also introduced a new corporate identity in the dealer network, where the design of individual elements has been modified. We started rolling out the new design to all existing dealers as part of the change in brand strategy in 2022. One of the most visible changes is the concept of the main pillar, which now features a text logo instead of the classic emblem. It's a modern look that our contemporary explorers certainly deserve. The new identity is already being rolled out and will appear in full force at the beginning of next year. Our dealers in Vietnam and India will be working with it already in 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to summarize in conclusion. All the strategic fields in sales and marketing, such as new customer groups, brand identity or new digital innovations, are harmonized and bundled in our Škoda corporate strategy with the clear goal to contribute to achieving sustainable success in the future. So welcome to Škoda Next Level. And as Klaus has mentioned, this is the biggest change in the past 30 years, and I believe that with this new brand identity for Škoda Auto, we are very well prepared for the transformation towards a clean and connected mobility. Thank you very much for your attention, and now I would like to give the floor back to Klaus Zellmer.
Okay, thank you for your insights from sales and marketing, Martin. Dear guests, now this was a summary of 2022 for us at Škoda. A year of big challenges, but also full of great products, exciting events, and important strategic decisions contributing to the ongoing transformation of our company. Škoda is ready for the transformation era, and we are delivering. Our customers in the compact and large segments can look forward to excellent new models this year. First, our Kamiq and Scala will be receiving a comprehensive facelift. Both cars will receive exterior and interior visual updates, focusing on design and sustainability. We will also be introducing our all-electric Enyaq in the exclusive Laurin and Clement equipment line. This line epitomizes the highest level of comfort and delivers a comprehensive range of equipment as standard. The new Enyaq L&K will also feature lots of technical enhancements. And most importantly, our ICE flagships, Kodiaq and Superb, will receive a complete makeover. They will arrive in the second half of 2023 with an attractive design, new technologies, and efficient engines. And this will also mean that we will include plug-in hybrids for both models. I'm sure that our customers will love our new models and appreciate the hard work and passion Škodians put into every detail of these cars. And this brings me to one more important item for 2023. In a few weeks, we will be sharing more details on our updated and accelerated electrification roadmap. And I'm already looking forward to that. Let me end the official part of today's annual press conference with some important news before we move on to the Q&A session. At the beginning, I mentioned that internationalization is a key element of our strategy, and we're always exploring new growth markets and new opportunities. That's why I'm very pleased to announce that Škoda will be taking over the strategic lead for the entire brand volume group for our future expansion across the ASEAN region. We will be maximizing the region's huge growth potential for the Volkswagen Group with a clear strategy and long-term vision. The ASEAN region is growing by 8% a year, and that's a huge potential. The automotive market is expected to be more than 4.1 million vehicles in 2030. Plus, with an estimated electrification rate of 30% by the beginning of the next decade, the future in these markets also lies with electric vehicles. We want to become a strong player in this region with a market share of over 5% for our volume brands. As outlined, we are getting ready for further expansion in Vietnam. The country will be our gateway to the ASEAN region. And the responsibility for the region testifies to the group's trust and confidence in the expertise of the Škoda team. We're also confident that our success story in India will help us succeed in the equally diverse ASEAN region. India is a key market in our internationalization plans. We plan to turn it into an export hub following a clear strategy. We began exporting our Škoda Kushaq models from India to the Gulf states last October. And this makes the Middle East the first export region for our India-produced models. And as we are anticipating rapid growth there as well, we've recently taken another step towards expanding our global footprint by joining Audi, Volkswagen, Middle East, and national sales companies' operations. The existing sales structure opens up additional growth opportunities, and I'm sure that our products will be successful there as well. Dear guests, as you can see, we have a lot on our agenda, and we're following a clear strategy. 2023 will be a year of new products, new milestones towards electrification and internationalization. I am already looking forward to it. And now, we will be happy to take any questions you have. May I ask my board colleagues as well as Mr. Latsina to join me on stage, and I would like to hand over now to Ariane Kilian.
All right. Thank you very much for the questions we received. I will start with Mr. Vladimir Rybecki asking where will be the future Škoda BEVs produced, and I would hand it over to our CEO, Klaus Selmer.
Yeah, that obviously is a complex question. It could take us a while to go through all the different variants. We produced the Enyaq, of course, here in Mlada Boleslav very successfully, and it actually comes off the production line together with the Octavia in a mixed version by Michael's great team. Now the L-Rock, which is the next one in line for our global setup, will also be produced here in Mlada Boleslav. And all the other models, I have to admit at this point of time, there's still a lot of optimization to be done. The Superb is actually going from Mlada Boleslav over to Bratislava to be produced there in the production line for synergy reasons. So there are a lot of moving parts with this question, so stay tuned. Of course, it's all about the capacity that we have and using that capacity to 100%, and this is what we're aiming for, and all the details for that are in the making.
Thank you very much. I will go over to Ketan Thakkar. Greetings to India. What is the role that India will play in internationalization of the Škoda brand is his question. And beyond Vietnam, what are the countries and regions that India can cater to? I would hand this to you, Martin.
As we already suggested in our presentation, as Klaus said in his last statement, now the biggest challenge and the open space for Škoda is ASEAN, where we are taking the strategic lead for the brand group volume. And we will be looking at the countries in ASEAN. Also, as we mentioned, Middle East is definitely a good export potential for India. So these are the two main regions where we will be focusing now, the whole ASEAN and the Middle East.
Thank you. The next question touches possible post-Russia exit. Question is, where is Škoda Auto eyeing to put manufacturing plant to balance the loss? I would give this to you again, Klaus.
Thank you, Ariane. If I interpret the question right, it's about whether we take what we produced in Russia in our plant and are now losing that since we are quitting that part of our business model, whether we build up more capacity in our other plants, be it in the Czech Republic or elsewhere in the world. Obviously, first of all, and this is most important for us, we want to use the capacity to its full extent. You have seen that we have on our strategic path our internationalization initiatives, and rest assured we will always build one car less than there is demand in the market, because that creates stable residual values of the cars. They of course are in more demand. We can see that currently with us not being able to produce as many cars as there are being ordered, which creates a lot of positive side effects. Now currently we don't have the balance right. The waiting times for Škodas are high, so we're going to cut those down, but in terms of losing capacity in Russia, we're going to try and compensate for that fully to then produce those cars that we can't produce there anymore in Michael's other plants around the world.
All right, next question is by Timothy Ruffler, who wants to know when will Škoda launch our vision of the VW ID to all, or the Cupra Urban Rebel, so what we call the small BEV. I think the answer is on the street. Klaus?
Yes, well, you know about the Enyaq, the next car, L-Rock, which is slightly positioned below the Enyaq, and below that as our entry battery electric vehicle, which is then comparable to the cars that you mentioned in your question, will be launched in 2025. So it will be presented in 2025, produced and then sold in the years to come after that.
Then I come to a question by Christoph Raminolakis from Bloomberg. He would like to know, could you provide a bit more specifics on how much you expect the chip supply situation to improve and when the shortage may completely end, allowing Škoda to go back to full capacity. Related to that, how do you expect the 2023 global deliveries to compare with 2022? Similar, higher, and lower? This is a question I have to hand over to different people at the same time. So, Carsten, Michael, Martin, please.
I think first of all we have to apologize our customers that in the last 2 years, 2021 and 2022, the whole industry, the whole production-oriented industry was highly and negatively affected by shortages in semiconductors. We at Škoda, together with the whole Volkswagen Group, installed, and my colleague Klaus Selmer pointed this out at the beginning of this press conference, a Compass project. The Compass project has a huge strategic part oriented for the resilience for the future and an operative part to handle the problems and the challenges we have every day. And I have to say, after 1 year and 2 months of very hard work on this project, it runs very well in the overall group and here at the branch Škoda. And we are looking with the new partnerships of our partners in the semiconductor industry and with the partnerships with our partners, with our classic partners, our classic first-year partners, very optimistic in the future. So we installed a lot of new partnerships. We installed a lot of strategic agreements for secure the deliveries and for stabilizing the supply chain. And we at Škoda, as a whole group, looking very optimistic in the future. We expect, because the supply chain, storages and material on the transport are still critical and empty and not like the years before 2020, still completely filled up. So we expect problems if their industry components, or let me say parts of the industry, are hidden by accidents, by whatever. But we also installed components in the strategy which are actively acting in these cases. So again, we are looking very optimistic for the future.
Okay.
Do you want to continue, or Martin?
I think given the optimism and hard work of Carsten Schnake and his team, we are deeply convinced that we will produce more cars and deliver more cars this year than we did in 2022.
Clear answer, thank you very much. Next question comes by Amia Naik. I hope I'm pronouncing all the names right. If not, I'm saying sorry in advance. What are the new segments Škoda is looking at for India? And will the new subcompact SUV for India be targeted for export market? There's a presumption in this question, but I would hand it over to you, Martin.
Well, the presumption is right. Armea is obviously well informed. The new segments that we are looking at is the subcompact SUV, and we will be looking for every product that we produce in India for export possibilities, because India is important for us, not only for the Indian market, but also as an export hub. Subcompact SUV is the answer, and of course, then in the future, we will be looking at battery electric vehicles.
Okay, the next question from Adrian Pettersen goes to the software question. When will the update 3.1 come out? Hannes, a question for you.
Yeah, the new software version 3.1, in fact, is already in the production line. So the actual produced cars will have it. And for sure, for all the already delivered cars, we are planning to make an over-the-air update in the calendar week 17. We are in deeply preparation of this over-the-air update, so everybody can expect to get that on calendar week 17.
Thank you. Coming closer, William Leahy would like to know, will there be an electric estate car, so a combi car? If so, will it be for those who drive on the left side of the road? Klaus, I would hand this to you again.
Yeah, as you know, we're always a little shy looking into the future with models we haven't spoken about yet, and we're going to keep that attitude. But I'd like to comfort you that in April we will have our Explore More 2.0 event, and we're going to lift the curtain and show a little more, and we'll then also be able to answer your question.
Okay, the next question by Alena Hybernerova is, would Škoda plan to stop production of combustion engines? Now the question is gone from me. Would Škoda plan to stop production of combustion engines before 2035 if the European market was headed for it? I would give this both to you and you.
Okay, so I start. We have said several times that from 2030 we expect to sell more than 70% of BEV vehicles in Europe, and given the market demand and the conditions, we will be producing some cars with combustion engine as long as possible, and then of course from 2035 onwards we will switch fully to BEVs.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, our business model has been set up, and this is our strategy, that we are flexible. You know, we don't want to enter the competition about saying a certain year and then faster or longer when the transition will take place for us. This will be defined by customers. The 2035, Martin said it, that's a clear cut. But until then, we want to set up our production system, our development, so we can fulfill people's wishes, be it on the electric side or combustion engine side or in between with hybrids. So this is what we aim to do, and we let the customer decide.
Roman Golutuk is asking a question that goes also along the same lines of this subject. He says, if the fleet is transforming to more electric, do you then already know or can say with certainty to what extent the infrastructure will be ready to accommodate for such supply, given other brands will probably also be transforming their fleets? I would pass this to Hannes Neft. You know most about the infrastructure we need for our e-cars.
Yeah, everybody knows that the Volkswagen Group is working hard also to increase the possibilities of charging points and so on. Ionity is one of the most and the well-known opportunities which we are providing. We have plans, big plans to increase the possibilities. So we are supporting our customers in order to have enough possibilities getting charging points there.
All right. Claudio Todescini from Italy wants to know, as you know, our new Italian government has really recently become one of the strongest opposers to the 2035 ICE ban. I believe, despite their efforts, that the revolution has already started and well underway. What's your position about the EU proposal and the stance of our government? Klaus.
As a car industry, we need clarity to set up our plans when to develop certain cars and drivetrains. So we need a clear date when the industry will have to stop selling new cars with combustion engines. Currently, the planning premise is that is 2035. And we stick to that. Up until then, of course, we will see what customers prefer, either ICE or battery electric vehicles or hybrids. And this is our strategy. But if we now move that date, the 2035, it will cause all sorts of other turbulences in our development cycles in the way that we have now set up our model line planning for the future in the next 10 to 15 years. And if you look at CO2 and the effect of CO2, if you look at our planet, then you know that we will have to be more dramatic about shutting it off, and anything beyond 2035 for Škoda is nothing that we can think of at this point of time. So we're good with 2035.
Thank you. Another question by Ketan Thakkar. Does India become a key base for internal combustion engine vehicle production for the future if you were to stop ICE production in Europe in 2035? I would give it to Hannes.
Well, I think we spoke a lot already about 2035 and about the uncertainties we are having there until what we know until now. But nevertheless, clear is that India is a very important market for combustion engines right now, and we are taking a lot of efforts in order to improve our strategy over there. But do not forget, India is also getting more and more interested in electric-driven cars, and this is something we are also following up, and we try to increase also in India.
Thank you. I would pose another question to you by Jordan Katsianis, who would like to know about our sustainability planning. His question is, when do we plan on publishing life cycle assessments, including production and usage of CO2 footprints for our vehicles?
The sustainability is one of the biggest issues we will concentrate this year on. And the life cycle assessment is something we are working hardly on. Together with Carsten Schnake, we already had a journalists meeting over there showing what we are doing on this. We will be able to say more about the life cycle assessments in the middle of the year, and then we will give more answers to that.
Thank you very much. One question comes from Stanislav Brenn, and he wants to know if we are planning a greater deployment of transport vehicles, especially for heavy goods transports with alternative drives like LNG, CNG, electricity or fuel cells for transporting components. Who may I turn this question to?
I'll take it.
Voluntaries first.
I think the question is very easy to answer. As a company and as an industry, we need to focus. As a company, we focus on battery electric vehicles, ICE vehicles, and in between hybrids. And we will also focus on passenger cars. So no, we do not plan to develop and sell heavy goods transport vehicles. No, we will not develop LNG, CNG, or fuel cells. We fully focus on those three elements and also concentrate the budgets and the capacities we have with that strategy.
Maybe in addition, for transporting components to produce the car, there we go in this direction. We have the first full electric trucks here in our plant in Mala-Boleslav to transport all the system battery modules from the components production to the car production, and all the battery systems which we built for other plants and brands in the group. Therefore, we use the train, and there is no truck on the highways. So we focus it very clear, and we are starting it, but that's for internal and external transportation of components.
Yeah. So that's logistics, but we're not planning to offer that to customers. That's right. Okay.
All right. One question by Milos Hyka, who wants to know when plug-in hybrid systems with ranges of 100 kilometers will come, and what model they could enrich by this at first.
For that, I have a very good information. Both our new successors of the Kodiaq and of the Superb will have and will provide this possibility with plug-in hybrid cars with more than 100 kilometers of range.
That's really good news. Makes me skip part of the next question by Daniel Bannister. He would like to know when he can expect to order the new Superb being released in late 2023. The plug-in part of his question is already answered. So, Martin, when he's able to order.
Yeah, and just to follow up on Johannes, we will introduce both Superb and Kodiaq new generation in the second half of this year. There will be also a possibility to order them, and we will start supplying them to our customers next year.
Thank you. Next question goes again to India. Is there a clarity on producing electric vehicles in India? Either the timelines or potential models, given that there is an active conversation of the VW Group with Mahindra in India for sourcing. Klaus, I would hand this to you.
Yeah, yes, VW Group will provide components of our MEB platform in this cooperation with Mahindra. We're not talking about whole cars yet, but of course, India is presumed to be at about 20 to 25% battery electric vehicle share by 2030, and we want to be part of that growth potential with our competence, our scaling possibilities, and our platforms. And as we speak, we are looking into different scenarios on how to tackle and how to lift that potential in the Indian market. But this is news for press conferences to come.
That's true. We're almost coming to a close. I will go to the last two questions before we have to close the Q&A for today. While passenger cars by Volkswagen is aiming to strengthen its EV lineup to fuel the brand's growth in the near term, how are we at Škoda Auto looking at the future market for personal cars, and how do we plan to leverage those opportunities? Passenger car segment, Martin.
I was a bit puzzled what Daniel means. I guess he means plug-in hybrid vehicles when he's talking about EV electric, PV probably plug-in hybrids. We answered it already in the previous questions. We will be bringing the new Superb and Kodiaq as plug-in hybrid version.
Yeah, I believe his question might also touch the question of how do we balance EV and
well, the very clear focus is on battery electric vehicles. We believe that this is the most important and the most efficient way to achieve the CO2 neutrality. We will have some plug-in hybrids on offer, but the focus is, as well as with Volkswagen passenger car brand, on the battery electric vehicles.
Thank you very much. The last question for today is by Vrushab Shetty, and it says, is there any updates for Kushaq or Slavia that we can share today? Martin, Klaus.
Martin, Klaus, Johannes. Well, we just launched those two cars. You know, Kushaq and Slavia, they have been successfully introduced. You saw the sales figures. They make up almost 100% of our sales in India. We increased our sales in India by 128% compared to previous year. So those cars have done their job, and they will do their job for the coming years. Absolutely, definitely, and we're not talking about facelifting those at this point of time or about succeeding those two cars. They're in an excellent position. Piyush Arora mentioned the fact that they were just awarded the safest cars for families in the Indian market. So I think we're in a very good spot. The My Škoda app, of course, is being developed and improved all the time. That's the advantage with our IT systems, and of course the Škoda app will be seeing, and it has just seen an update from a more visual or an intuitive use case point of view, but we're continuing to update that, and Android is of course part of our plan as well.
All right, with these words, I would close the round for now. Thank you very much for answering all the questions that came by media. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening to our story today. And stay tuned for next news to come. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.